And good morning, everyone. I'm so pleased to see you here. I am Reverend Ann Dunican. I am one of God's chosen ministers. I say this because I believe I was called to this. For the next few minutes, I'm going to tell you why I believe this. It is my testimony as to becoming a minister. Do you have a vision or a dream that nudges you in your heart and is designed in your mind? Each one of us has a unique talent, a mission to do in our life here on earth. Some are called early and some are called late or later in life. But it's always there waiting for you to do your choosing and to open up to it. Sometimes it takes a little shove, and I believe that shove comes from God. And I think there are many times that we have in our heart things that we are really and truly meant to do, and we have a little doubt, and we have a little fear, and suddenly there is something so overwhelming that God says, now is the time. Now that time can begin as early as it did for me as a little girl. My awakening began perhaps at 4 or 5 years old. My mother said I was always asking questions about God and His love. And she said sometimes she didn't even know where these questions came from. But she gave me the information that she could, as well as she knew and understood it. My mother and her mother would try to answer all of the questions I asked. And I remember as I grew a little older, my grandma, or my mammy as I called her, would say, "This girl has the Spirit." Now, what in the world did that mean? I had no idea at that age. As I grew older, maybe 8, 9, 10, I would sometimes go with my friends to Sunday school and hear things that seemed scary and unbelievable to me. And I would not go back there. I never, ever remember believing that God was a punishing God, or that God would stand you in a corner somewhere until you understood what He was trying to teach you. For God, to me, and to my mother and my Grammy, they all believed that God was total love. Somewhere within me, I knew that God was love. And of course, I was told many times by my mammy and my mama that God loved me bushels and a peck. Bushels and a peck. How in the world did you ever live up to that? Well, I set about trying. When I was 12 or 13, my mother's sister, my auntie, hired me to come to her little town in Massachusetts and teach vacation Bible school with her. Well, I was thrilled to death. I was going to get to be a teacher, and as my Auntie Beulah said, and you will be a teacher of God for me and these children as we teach Bible school for 2 weeks. I stayed with my auntie that entire 2 weeks, and I just adored everything that was being taught. I adored my auntie, and I adored the children and all the little songs that we sang. And some of them still come to me today, such as, I have a melody of love in my heart. That's one of my favorite, and it comes to me many times in my lifetime, especially if I'm not feeling quite up to it. I taught these songs to my children, and I think they are just wonderful little whispering songs that come to each child who has received them in their lifetime. A few years I was busy as a young wife. At 18, I married my childhood sweetheart. We had 3 children together, and I was educated in the field of child development, and I became a teacher. Not a teacher as you think of a teacher, perhaps, as in the public school, working with children of all ages, but with children from the ages of 2 to 5 until they moved on to kindergarten. I became a director, a preschool teacher of 2 years old, and working with all these parents and teachers was a wonderful and great experience for what was yet to come for me. While searching for how to begin and what was nudging in my heart, God knew, but I wasn't quite sure. At my preschool, I met Reverend Arthur's sister-in-law, Lynn Grant. She was one of my teachers. Now, we had a wonderful relationship, Lynn and I did. And one day she said to me after a conversation, "You need to go to El Cajon, for my brother-in-law has a church there called Unity Church of El Cajon." Oh, my heart lifted, my ears lifted, my mind began to think, aha, God is nudging, God is nudging. And the next Sunday, my family and I arrived here. I can't even tell you what the message was today. I can tell you when I left here, there was a lady just before me who said, "This church is like popcorn. You can't get enough of it." And you know, that's just the way I felt. I knew I had come home. Now, I've never been here before, but I'd had all that background from my grandmother and my mother, and somehow God let me know that I was in the right place at just the right time. Next experience. This is where I met a woman that some of you know, Reverend China Williams. She had come here from her background of religious science, divine science, and she was being motivated to take classes here, and she was looking deeply into unity because it spoke to her, just as unity spoke and does speak to me. She went to Unity, became ordained. We remained friends. She came back with the inspiration of having her own little church. And though I was very happy here, she said to me, "How would you and your family like to come to Spring Valley and be founding members with me at my church?" And because I loved her and because I wanted to support her, that's what we chose to do. But that's not really why I got there. God knew why I was going there. After a few years of just being a congregant and her friend, Reverend China had a visitor from Reverend Helen Baker, who was a religious science minister. And she came to visit us several weeks, perhaps several months, I'm not sure exactly. And she then said to Reverend China, "There are some members in your congregation that I think are being led to ministry. And I would be willing to teach some religious science classes here and to put them together with unity classes." Now, this is very unique. And at the end, if everybody passes their classes and does what we expect them to do, you and I will be the leaders, I will ordain them. Well, who was the first to sign up? Who? I thought to myself, here is my opening. I can stay home with my family, continue to raise my children. I can do what my heart says to do, and I can come out as one of God's ministers, which is what I know inside of me I truly want to do. For 6 years, every Saturday morning, every Wednesday night, without fail, we attended those classes. We had a great and granulous time, and glorious too. And God was there with us every minute of the way. And when it came to be August 15th, 1993, it was the big day for 3 of us. I was so excited, and my family was giving me a big party after this because they knew how dedicated I was to this, how hard I had worked to become what God wanted me to be. I knew it was the answer to all that nudging in my heart. And so I stood up at the altar and was blessed in ordination with 2 other women. And went and had my wonderful party. After that, I stayed at the little church called Living Christianity, or it was called Unity's Living Christianity, and Reverend China was the senior minister, and she made me her associate. I am so blessed. We had that little church for a long time, and then she came time for her to retire. She asked me if I wanted the church. In the meantime, through all of this, I had had wonderful experiences, and I had lost my precious husband of 40 years. But I had also met another man who was also going to be a precious person in my life, and he wanted to travel, and so I refused to take the church, and I went on my traveling way. What I want to bring to you is, it doesn't mean that I never had any ups and downs or hills and valleys, but God and I have always come out on top from my highest good. And somewhere very young, I learned to have faith and trust. My valleys became my lessons, and my hilltops became my accomplishments. And now I am home again among the people that I love and that I serve. So what I hope you will take from this and all of this, all the things that have ups and downs, that they always find the divine order and the divine way. I am here to share with you. If you open your heart and your mind to your dreams and your visions, all things, and I mean all things, are possible with God in His timing, in His guidance, and with His wisdom, it will come true. In that vein, I would like to share something with Linda Burdett. Linda, would you come forth, please? My friend Linda has committed herself to the study for ministry, to become a unity minister, of which I'm very pleased and very proud. Sometimes we find somebody in our life that we feel we have walked another road with. And I feel that way about Linda. And to honor that road we have walked together, and to bless us each in our relationship now, I want to give you this little gift of seed money toward your spiritual journey, and this little book that helped me also along the way, called The Secret of Unlimited Prosperity. May God bless you on your journey. May you have love and grace and ease in all your valleys and your hilltops. I love you, Linda.